I think I heard bullet trains mentioned about a dozen times yesterday, so I'm not feeling any pressure here. But bullet trains are something that I'm passionate about. I think bullet trains are important to the business. I think they're important to your organization, and I think they're important to you, and I'm going to show you why. I call this slide the boardroom surprise. This is what happens when spend isn't watched effectively in the organization. If you don't understand when you're spending money about how that money rolls up into the big picture and how that's viewed strategically, then what you get at the end of the year is the boardroom surprise. But what do bullet trains really mean? We've heard about them, but what do they do for us? Bullet trains are not just a pretty picture. The bullet trains are the fastest train in the world. When the engineers were trying to discover how to make the fastest train in the world, they couldn't just put a big engine in. They had to look at the entire train. They had to redesign the whole structure from the ground up. They had to look at the tracks, the wheels, make the car aerodynamic, even turn it over and make the undercarriage lighter. Bullet trains are year-over-year savings. The tracks keep on going through 07 and 08 and 09. The targets may change, but the bullet trains deliver results. And we have to look at the total train. So what does the train look like? What does cost look like in your organization when you say, what did I spend last year, or how am I spending money? If it looks like this, you've got a mess. If I ask you anything about any one of these numbers, you can tell me that that's the expense report I approved because the client asked for it. You'll tell me that that's the copier that we had to upgrade because the other one was only working half the time. But when I take a look at the whole total and say, how can we save money on this? What can we target? Are those the real questions we need to ask ourselves when we see spend? Bullet trains are a way of organizing our spend so that we can better target our savings and drive savings back into the business. Bullet trains takes our existing spend and categorize them into distinct areas that we can understand. We used 8 trains in 2006: travel and living, facilities, legal costs, information technology, administrative services, recruiting, and telecommunications and freight. Each one of these categories or trains we assigned an owner to. Now this is because an owner is now responsible for all the spend in that particular train. Each of the trains touch all the businesses, ISD, PSD, CSD, and even corporate, and encompasses all the costs in, say, T&L, facilities, and legal in that train. We had a $65 million total expense opportunity in 2006. That's a lot of money. That's our money that we can try to drive savings back into the business. How do these teams work? In addition to the owner, because they can't do it alone, and I use office supplies here as an example, there's an executive sponsor. The executive sponsor is there to help overcome hurdles and give support to the owner. But the owner has team members made up from people from all the different businesses that help him drive ideas to take a look at the train. Office supplies were very successful last year. We had a 50% reduction in total costs, bringing $1.2 million back into the business. This is money that we didn't have to spend on inkjet cartridges, pens, and paper that go to fund productivity projects. These were the engineers that helped drive the savings. Every month, these team members report to the CEO and senior staff about how they're doing next to actuals. They discuss if they hit their target, what good practices they put into effect, and if they miss their target, they talk about why they missed their target. These team members look at the entire train. They don't just look at, for instance, how to save on printing costs by getting cheaper inkjet cartridges. Now that's a mechanism, but you don't save money without getting under the undercarriage. On the OS contract, we decided the inkjet cartridges weren't the way to go, and the office supply train rolled out laser jets to the OS contract and brought savings back into the business. They still print, but we save money. In 2006, we saved $8.6 million using bullet trains. Now that's against an $18 million target, but that's a savings of 13% of the total discretionary spend that we had in 2006. Very, very significant money. These are hard dollars that we can use for other projects that we managed to save in 2006. Staples was an example project how we consolidated our vendors into one company to lever our savings. We used American Express, as John mentioned. We rolled out fleet cars against direct reimbursement for mileage, and we renegotiated our telecommunications projects, and we did lots more. But these were good initial savings, but we flattened out at the end, and we need to drive our savings into 2007 if we want to hit our earnings goals. In 2007, we're looking at a $9 million target. That's a 14% decrease in discretionary spend. What do we do with that money? That money goes to fuel things that you see and touch every day. These are things that are important to you, like your bonuses, your salary, your productivity projects that help you do your job. Savings are the fuel which runs the growth engine. How do we find the fuel? Well, from a high perspective, we can put in tools in place which you can use to try to save money in your business. We can consolidate vendors and get levered savings against particular items. We can build electronic tools which help route a request to spend through electronic processes and help control spend that way. We need to communicate to you how you're doing with mechanisms like Hyperion so you can see what the spend is in your organization. And we want to be sure you don't go outside the process. The process is there because we think it works and it saves the company money. Going outside the process, we lose visibility on what you're doing, and you could be costing the company money. If the process is broke, we need to fix the process. We don't need to go outside the process. But more importantly, when spend comes across your desk, you need to ask the right questions. Not, I think we need this for the business, but how does this roll up into the big picture? Is this cost in the budget? How does this go against the target and bullet trains? If I think I'm going to get some productivity out of it, what kind of productivity? Is it going to pay for itself at the end? But most importantly, savings are everyone's responsibility, and as everybody has a chance, they need to question everything that comes across. This is how we're going to get to 2007 and earn and bring the earnings in so that we can fuel the growth for the productivity projects that we really need. Back to John.
Okay, thanks, Arthur.